Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 14th of October, comes to you from London. And we saw a jump in the dollar yesterday. We see quite a lot of red on the screen, but the dollar did actually jump yesterday, and that's put it into short-term bullish territory. Just confirming really that we're trading off the bottom here. We're seeing that on the long-term weekly chart, medium-term daily chart, and the short-term 60-minute chart, giving me my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market and the corresponding point and figure targets. So we are just seeing an improvement in the dollar, which means then, of course, that the euro is weaker against the dollar, and we're sitting at 117.40 at the moment. So short-term bearish on the euro. Looking at sterling, that means that stronger dollar has pushed us back below the 130 mark, and we're just seeing that sterling chart weaker there short-term. And if we look at sterling against the euro, we see that we're sitting at 109 and we're weakening here as well. So sterling is just weakening generally. Looking at Bitcoin, we're sitting at $11,400. We're down very slightly, but we're holding on to the gains, and we're bullish on all three time frames, so that's pretty good news for crypto traders. Looking at the US market, we were down on the S&P yesterday, just can't quite make it to a new high yet, so we were down 2/3%. The Nasdaq still looking pretty strong, not yet making new highs there either. And if we look at the Dow, we're down just over 0.5%. The futures suggest we will open higher in the US today. We've got the E-mini up 0.3%, and the Nasdaq E-mini is up just over nearly 0.5%. So looking like a stronger opening in the US. The VIX volatility, the fear index, is actually down to 25, so that's means a lowering of the fear, if you like, and we're seeing that we're just steadily falling there. Just a little bit of a short-term rise there over the last few days, but whilst we're below 30, we're pretty safe on the VIX. FTSE 100 is up 0.6% in the UK. That's the future. And looking at the cash market in Germany, the DAX is up very slightly. The CAC 40 is down very slightly, so we are just seeing Europe fairly flat. Japan was down 0.25% overnight, still in this long-term downtrend, but looking a little bit better short-term. The Hang Seng has been a really bad market for the last few years, just declining, and we are just seeing that short-term resurgence there. So the last week has been pretty strong on the Hang Seng. If we look at India, we're up 0.5% there, and the Chinese market, so that's looking a little bit better. And looking at the Sensex, we're also we were just lower yesterday, but still looking pretty strong. The Aussie market was up 0.27%, so down 2.27%. Gold is sitting at 18.95, so that's looking better, and silver is actually just falling back through the clouds, so short term that's not as good. Just looking at that gold price again, we are seeing here that we just have turned short term bearish there. Looking at US 10-year yields, we've fallen back a little bit here, gone back to short term bearish, and we have downside targets some 6% lower, so having made the bottom in April, we really have traded sideways ever since. Looking at the energy mix now, we've got Brent crude down 0.6% this morning, WTI down 0.7%. We are in bearish mode here below the cloud, but it's a bit of a mixed picture. Looking at US nat gas, we're down 5%. We're seeing a lot of volatility in US gas. Last week we had very big rises, and we're unwinding some of that now. Looking at RBOB gasoline, we're seeing here that we are bearish below the cloud on the short-term chart with downside targets. Coal is actually up 0.5% this morning, and we are just seeing that a little bit of a bounce, but it is still bearish below the cloud on the 60-minute chart. Emissions, of course, has been the big one to watch. Since we broke that 26 support level, we seem to have found some support in the low 25 area. Strong support here at 25. You'd hope that that's going to hold. We do have some downside targets just below that. So we do need to just keep an eye on it. But short term, we are bearish on emissions, and we just have to watch that 25 level. Gas prices this morning, MBP continues its rise. It's up 2.5%. Chart looking pretty good there. TTF up nearly 2%. So looking pretty good there as well. And if we look at German power, ironically, we're actually up 2/3% to 40 euros. So we have actually been below 40 euros, and that is a bit disconcerting. The fact that we're just spending quite a bit of time below that 40 level is a little bit of a worry for power. And if we look at this, we see that the trend is now 3 days below. That is starting to be a bit of a concern. Looking at French power, that's been the weakling in Europe, and that's headed lower. Dutch power, of course, much the same following there. And if we look at Nordic power, we are still just holding on to our short-term bearish position, but bullish position, but it's quite falling away like most power markets at the moment. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.